Welcome back, Lorcana players. It's Poisonous. Today we're counting down the 10 best mono ink cards from the upcoming Archazias Island set expansion. The set releases just over a week away, and I'm pretty excited. There's a lot of exciting new cards. We already did the countdown of the best dual ink cards, but there's lots of good stuff coming in the standard mono inks that we all know. As always, thanks for checking out my videos. Please like it, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Your support really helps. Without further ado, let's dive in. Coming in at number 10 on our list is a new legendary in steel. It's Mickey Mouse, Inspirational Warrior. He's a 2-cost uninkable 1/1, and his ability Stirring Spirit says during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may play a character for free. So obviously this card is a bit baity because it's going to tempt you into putting really big characters in your deck to try and cheat them out as early as you possibly can. I do like the design of the card. I think it's more functional than the last Mickey Mouse that they released to try and cheat out big characters. I think it pairs well on curve with a few different cards. So the new Steel Jafar that gives one of your characters Challenger +2, so Mickey could actually be strong enough to take out an opposing character. We also have the Merlin Crab to give him Challenger +3, or Last Ditch Effort. You get to exert chosen opposing character and then give a character of yours Challenger +2, which should be strong enough to make Mickey able to challenge and take something out. Obviously your opponent's not going to be eager to exert characters once they see you play this Mickey down, so he can have an effect on stopping what's on the board if they don't have a way to like sing or play an action and remove him. So he'll probably see some play. I don't think that he's a meta changer, but it's definitely going to be fun to try and pull off some wacky combos with this guy. So that's why I put him in here at number 10. I think he's a good card and he probably will see a bit of play. Coming in at number 9, we have Magical Maneuvers. This is a 2-cost action in Amethyst. Its ability says return chosen character of yours to your hand, exert chosen character. So this is a card that lets you bounce something off your board and lets you exert a character. It could be your opponent's character or it could be one of your characters. So this could pair up with the genie that freezes cards when they're exerted. You could use this to exert him the turn you play him. But I think that the action of bouncing something that you want to return, like a rabbit, to get card draw while exerting a character on the opposing side, making it available to challenge, is going to be quite strong. I think that this card could definitely see play. It's a little on the slow side because it doesn't have a body, but I think that the ability to exert characters is proven to be strong with cards like Elsa, Fifth Spirit, or even the little Pinocchio that used to get play to make it easier to challenge your opposing characters. Next up at number 8 is Minnie Mouse Storyteller. She's an Amber Legend, 2-cost, uninkable, 1 strength, 2 willpower. Her first ability, Gather Round, says whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 lore this turn. And just one more, whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character loses strength equal to this character's lore until the start of your next turn. This is obviously a card that's tailored towards aggro. If you're playing a lot of characters, this buffs up Minnie. So if you play 2 or 3 characters in a turn, then she quests for 2 or 3 and she's taking away strength from an opposing character that would normally be used to challenge in and remove one of your characters. This card could really combo off with the Pride Lands and Stitch Rockstar. You get a Prince at the Pride Lands, you pay 1 less for your characters. You have Rockstar Stitch on board. Every time you play a 2 or less character, you get to draw a card. So you could chain a whole bunch of 1-drops, mini quests for a whole lot, and you take away a bunch of strength from, something on your opponent's side. This is a kind of a fun aggro design card. I think that it'll definitely see play in aggro decks. Yellow-green looks like it's poised to be a strong contender for hyper aggro with all the new cards it's getting this set. Coming in at 7 is the new Donald Duck Flustered Sorcerer card. This is one of the more exciting legendaries from the new set because it changes the way that the game is played. It's a 7-cost uninkable 5/6 that quests for 3, so it's got a big body, but the real interest comes from its ability Obfuscate. Opponents need 25 lore to win the game. So while this character is in play, 20 lore isn't going to cut it for your opponent. They're going to need to get to 25. If If they're between 20 and 25, then in theory they just remove Donald Duck. Their win con goes back down to 20 lore, and then they would win the game. But this is a nice card to try and stall out, faster decks by moving the goalposts back on them a little bit, making it harder for them to win. It's also a big body. I could see this card working in like a Blurple deck where they're able to ramp up, and maybe they just need a little bit of time to stall the opponent a little bit further so they can take over and win the game. I do like the creativity that the game designers have gone with, bringing in new abilities that change the boundaries of the game. At 6, we have Ratigan, Nefarious Criminal. This is a Ruby legendary, 4-cost inkable, 3/3, and his ability, A Marvelous Performance, says when you play an action while this character is exerted, gain 1 lore. So it's kind of similar to how Maui Half Shark works. If you play an action while this character is exerted, then you're going to get a lore. This is another card that has a decent sized body. Right now, the red-blue decks have 4-drops like Grammatala, Super Goofy, and Hiram. So this gives you another tool that you could put in at that slot that is useful for getting that quick lore gain. You ramp up and play this on 3. Maybe he sings How Far I'll Go, exerting him, playing the action, and gaining a lore in the process, and then gaining a lore for different things that you do on your subsequent turns. Or he can challenge in, and then you play an action the next turn, you gain lore, that kind of thing. So I think that this card is not as good as Shark. It's not as versatile as Shark, but I think that it definitely has its place and we'll see play in some decks. Coming in at number 5 is the first legendary action of the game, the Return of Hercules. This Emerald card says each player may reveal a character card from their hand and play it for free. So there's a bit of risk and reward with this card. Obviously, if you have a big character in your hand that costs more than 5, makes sense to play this knowing that you're going to get some advantage out of it. You just have to be wary that your opponent may also have a really big card in their hand. The good thing is with Emerald, you do have lots of ways to see in their hand, like the 1-drop Diablo, the 2-drop Ursula. So you can have an idea if they're going to play something bigger, better than you. You may also have different pieces in your deck to deal with what they play. There's a few different combos you could do with this. Obviously playing something huge like Maleficent Dragon and banishing your opponent's character when they summon it would be good. But you could also pair this with like Chief Bogo on turn 4, who does 1 damage every time you play a Floodborn. And then you play this on 5, you bring out Prince Philip. His ability says that he banishes all chosen opposing damage character. He's a Floodborn, so Chief Bogo would do 1 damage to all opposing characters, and then you could use Prince Philip's effect and banish all of their characters as long as they didn't have resist preventing them from taking damage. I think that this card will definitely see play. It's a way to cheat out big green or other characters and other colors that you pair with this. You can definitely see it going well with steel or ruby. I think that it's fun that they've added cards that make those big characters playable, because so many times the game's over before you can play such big characters. This gives a way to get it out on turn 5 or earlier if you're playing like green blue and you're ramping. At number 4 we have Sapphire Coil. This is probably one of the most feared cards of the new set, so I think that it's going to be annoying. It might realistically be even better than 4th overall in the set, but I think that until we see how much it gets played, we won't know for sure how devastating it is. This 2-cost inkable item says during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may give chosen character -2 strength this turn. This means that every time you ink, you can remove strength off an opposing character, setting it up for cards like Brawl, the big Sisu, or the little Sisu. Even the Muses makes it cards which are stronger now able to be bounced back to the opposing player's hand. So I think that this is something that's going to end up being played in decks which annoy you, because it's going to make it easier for your opponent to remove your stuff or bounce it back to your hand, make it harder to stay on the board. And its trigger is just inking, which is something that your opponent's doing already in red. They could be inking multiple times per turn, so they could really debuff one character, or they could debuff 2 different characters. But this card seems like it's very strong. The only downside that it has is that it's in the 2-cost slot, which is already filled with Sail the Azurite Sea and Tippo to ramp, so it's not easily played on curve in those decks. But I think that it's still a card that's definitely going to see play and will consider to be one of the more annoying cards of the set. I think this along with Ink Geyser are probably going to be the 2 most frustrating cards to deal with, and they're in the same color, unfortunately. Coming in at 3 we we have the new Gantu Experienced Enforcer card. This is a super rare, 4 cost uninkable, 2 strength, 4 willpower. He has 2 abilities. The first one, Close All Channels, says when you play this character, characters can't exert to sing songs till the start of your next turn. So it's important to note that that applies to your characters and opposing characters. So if you're planning on singing songs with your characters, you need to do it before you play him. Obviously, if you need another body to have your Strength of Raging Fire do enough damage, this isn't going to help because he's going to take away your ability to have, Pete or somebody sing that song that you were planning on. And his second ability says, don't get any ideas. Each player pays 2 more ink to play actions or items. So that's a permanent static ability that's always in effect, not just until the start of your next turn, which means that if your opponent wants to play any items or they want to play a song, they're going to have to pay extra to do that. It doesn't apply to characters singing songs. It's just not really an effective way to manage how you would increase those costs of like sing together or things. They don't have to pay extra ink in addition to exerting a character, but this card kind of follows naturally on the curve with Pete, where they can't play actions, and then on 4 they can't sing songs with characters, and then playing actions or items costs extra after that. So I think that this card will definitely see play in any aggro based steel deck. I think that you could play this card in like Diggy Hole, for example, and it would have a spot there that really interferes and slows down your opponent. Coming in at number 2, we have another blue card, Belle, Apprentice Inventor. This is a 3 cost, inkable, 3 strength, 3 willpower. Her ability What a Mess says during your turn, you may banish chosen item of yours to play this character for free. So this is where I think the strength of this card comes in, is that you can get this character out as early as turn 1. And she's a 3/3 body that quests for 1. If you play a Popsicle on turn 1, or Fortisphere if you're in steel, or red, they have 1 cost items as well. You can then just banish the item to play Belle, and now you have a 3/3. This is going to pose a lot of problems for aggro decks. Aggro has always been able to kind of get under slow ramp decks, and I think that this card gives it a way to respond. I was tempted to put this card at number 1, but it is something that requires a little bit of a combo. I think that the meta will kind of warp around this card a bit, and maybe it won't be as strong as we fear, but there's a good chance that this will be probably the strongest card of the set, and it's a common. I think that blue is really spoiled this set, and blue decks were already in a good place, especially blue-red, and now this seems like it's gonna push that advantage even further. So I have mixed feelings about that, but it is nice that they are pushing the limits of some of these cards. I just kind of wish that it wasn't in blue, but this card is definitely gonna see play. People want a theory craft around like blue steel, but a song deck, because she can start singing 3 cost songs on turn 2, kind of like the little Cinderella does, but she has a much bigger body and she's hard to remove. And at number 1, we have a blue legendary. Again, blue very spoiled. This one is a 6 cost, inkable, 4 strength, 5 willpower, Tamatoa, happy as a clam. He has 2 abilities. The first one, Coolest Collection. When you play this character, return up to 2 items from your discard into your hand. So those popsicles that you banish to play Belle or banish with Hiram to draw cards come back to your hand just for playing this character, but he's got another ability that says I'm beautiful, baby. And when you quest this character, you can play an item for free. So obviously Lucky Dime has kind of fallen out of the meta a little bit. I think that this card is going to bring Lucky Dime back into the meta. The ability to cheat it out with this card after he quests, you get the dime for free, then you just pay 2 ink to activate the dime on him, get 2 more. So this Tamatoa might be better than the big Tamatoa. It's hard to say. I think that they both have a place. This one's obviously a little cheaper, his body's smaller, but he has, a pretty pronounced effect. You're getting back 2 items on play instead of just 1, but he doesn't get the buff to questing. So I think that you're going to see item decks back on the menu with this card, and pairing it up with the other Tamatoa as well. So I'm excited that they're printing good legendaries. Not every legendary is good every time, but it's nice that they're putting out some good ones that have nice strong effects. I think that this one is strong but maybe not overtuned, but it's definitely going to see play in a lot of blue decks, and this is probably going to be the most expensive legendary of the set. It did get an enchanted treatment, which is exciting. I love when they make cool looking enchanteds that are also playable. So that's my top 10. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what cards you think should be higher on the list, what ones I missed, or what ones you agree with. Tell me all the cards you're excited about. We got a week away till we're playing with all the new stuff. So thanks for checking out the video. Please like and subscribe. Cheers.